Deschamps after the loss to Spain. We feel deeply frustrated. De La Fuente responds to Deschamps' criticism of the officiating with strong words. Pep Guardiola shares his thoughts on Spain's victory and explains why Lamine Yamal continues to have the edge over Kylian Mbappé. Before the video begins, don't forget to share your prediction in the comments for the Argentina vs. England match. And if you're a Messi fan, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. Deschamps after the loss to Spain. We feel deeply frustrated. France head coach, Didier Deschamps, spoke about the reasons behind his team's semi-final defeat to Spain, offering an honest assessment of his players' performance. France suffered a 2-0 defeat at Dallas Stadium in the 2026 FIFA World Cup semi-final, ending Les Blues' journey in the tournament. Speaking after the match, Deschamps admitted that the players were feeling deeply frustrated because their ambitions for this World Cup had been extremely high. Deschamps takes responsibility for France's World Cup exit. The France coach acknowledged that his team failed to reach its usual technical level, especially against a strong Spanish side that controlled the match and imposed its style of play. Deschamps refused to blame outside factors. Instead, he insisted that France must take full responsibility for the elimination, even though he was dissatisfied with the officiating. He admitted that his players simply failed to produce the level of performance expected of them. France lacked attacking threat and struggled to create genuine danger in front of Spain's goal. He also pointed to repeated technical mistakes in passing, explaining that poor decisions in possession prevented France from taking advantage of several promising opportunities that could have changed the outcome of the match. Deschamps concluded by saying that this is the harsh reality of elite football. At the highest level, every mistake is punished, and although the result is painful, his team must accept it. After criticizing the officiating, De La Fuente responds with strong words. Spain head coach, Luis de la Fuente, responded to Didier Deschamps after the French coach questioned the refereeing following France's 2-0 defeat in the World Cup semi-final. After the match, Deschamps said, "I'll ask just one question. Was the referee at the required level to officiate a World Cup semi-final?" He added that he would not answer the question himself, because people would accuse him of making excuses after losing. However, he insisted that there had been several controversial moments throughout the match. Deschamps also said that the penalty incident was not the only questionable decision. He stressed that he had no personal issue with the referee. He simply believed that everyone had the right to ask whether the officiating met the standard required for such an important match. When asked about Deschamps' comments, De La Fuente responded calmly during his press conference. He said, "When results don't go the way you want, it's always possible to find an excuse." According to reports from Foot Mercado, De La Fuente then recalled Spain's earlier World Cup match against Uruguay. He explained that Spain had also experienced controversial officiating during that game, including having a goal disallowed and feeling that several decisions had gone against them. He believed the referee had been overly lenient in many situations and admitted it had been a frustrating experience. However, he emphasized that dwelling on those decisions would not change the outcome. De La Fuente concluded by saying that what football truly needs is continued improvement in both refereeing standards and VAR technology. Pep Guardiola's thoughts on Spain's victory and Lamine Yamal's dominance over Mbappe. Note: the following section is a dramatic first-person monologue written for storytelling purposes. It does not represent actual quotes from Pep Guardiola. Spain have reached the World Cup final, and honestly, I'm not surprised. Everything this team has shown throughout the tournament has pointed toward this moment. But what deserves even more attention than the qualification itself is the rise of an extraordinary new generation, led by Lamine Yamal. At his age, with this level of confidence and influence in the biggest matches, I've rarely seen a player develop so quickly. What he produced today against France, on football's biggest stage, says everything about both his current level and his future. There's another point that deserves serious attention. The head-to-head record between Yamal and Kylian Mbappé is beginning to reveal a remarkable pattern. Yamal has now won 9 of their 11 meetings, while Mbappé has won only 2. That's no longer a coincidence. Mbappé remains one of the finest players in world football. I want to make that absolutely clear. He entered this tournament with 8 goals and more than 20 goals across World Cup competitions, breaking appearance records and surpassing Lothar Matthäus. He's one of the greatest forwards of his generation. But football sometimes creates fascinating rivalries, where one player consistently seems to have the upper hand over another. Today, Spain's tactical discipline completely neutralized Mbappe. The Spanish defense worked in perfect coordination, with the center-backs, full-backs, and Rodri providing constant support. Whenever Mbappe tried drifting toward the left side to find space, Spain immediately closed every passing lane and denied him room to attack. Even when he managed to beat Pau Cubarsí after receiving a long pass, quick defensive cover ended the danger almost immediately. But what impressed me most was Yamal's defensive contribution. Players his age usually focus almost entirely on attacking. Yamal doesn't. He tracks back. He presses aggressively. He closes passing lanes. And he helps defend as seriously as he attacks. That level of tactical maturity is incredibly rare for an 18-year-old. Watching him help contain Mbappe showed exactly why he's so special. As a coach, I've worked with many gifted young players. Usually, when you have an extraordinary attacking talent, you accept that defensive work won't be one of his strengths. Yamal completely breaks that rule. He gives you world-class creativity while maintaining remarkable commitment without the ball. That's what separates him from many exceptional talents we've seen over the years. What some people call Yamal's psychological edge over Mbappe goes far beyond statistics. It reflects his mentality. He never seems intimidated by reputations, trophies, or superstar status. Whether he's facing Mbappe or any other opponent, he plays with exactly the same confidence. That mentality is what transforms a talented youngster into a player capable of defining an entire generation. Pressure destroys many young talents. They freeze during the biggest moments. Yamal does the opposite. The bigger the occasion, the better he performs. That's not something coaches teach. It's simply part of who he is. I've seen incredibly talented players fail because they lacked that mentality. And I've seen less gifted players succeed because they possessed it. Luis de la Fuente deserves enormous credit. He's built an organized team that's defensively solid, while allowing its young attacking players to express themselves with freedom and creativity. The tactical plan used to isolate Mbappe was outstanding. Keeping a player of his quality disconnected from his teammates, and even catching him offside twice, is far from easy. Spain executed it perfectly. Looking beyond this tournament, Spain are building something much bigger. Yamal and the rest of this young generation could shape Spanish football for the next decade. Reaching a World Cup final with players this young isn't simply a success. It's the beginning of a long-term project. From my own experience, when a talented young team succeeds early, that confidence stays with them for years. Today's victory doesn't only send Spain into the final. It convinces these players that they can beat anyone. And that's an incredibly powerful belief. I'm certain Mbappe will come back stronger. Great players always do. Defeats motivate them to improve. But one fact remains impossible to ignore. Today, and in most of their previous meetings, Lamine Yamal came out on top. That tells us something important about where football may be heading. Perhaps we're witnessing the beginning of a passing of the torch between generations. Spain now await the World Cup final. Whoever stands on the other side will face an enormous challenge. A team with a player like Lamine Yamal performing at this level and carrying this confidence always has a genuine chance to create history. What we witnessed today wasn't simply Spain reaching another final. It was the arrival of a player destined to become one of football's true greats, and perhaps the beginning of a new era, led by a fearless generation, ready to shape the future of the game.